The views expressed on the following program are those of its host and participants and no way reflect those of the staff or management of WNRI.
This is Veterans News Radio, getting to the heart of Veterans Affairs. A program dedicated to unveiling the truth in a relentless pursuit of justice on behalf of veterans. Coming to you live from Rhode Island to the world with your host, High Speed Sal.
Welcome back to Veterans News Radio right here on 1380 WNRI in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and of course to the rest of the world. Well, I hope everyone had a good week last week. We had an interesting snow day this Monday. If they only knew how to plow the damn streets, we'd be all set. But anyway, and of course take care of all of our potholes that are Grand Canyon sized. Which, by the way, this is something I guess they're working on today for all you Rhode Island listeners. Roadworks Rhode Island. I guess that they are going to be passing the tolls on trucks. Watch out, because cars will be next. They will find a way to get into it. But anyway, we'll see what happens with this. I, for one, will not put up with it. Today, the 10th of February. I always do, this day in military history. Well, this is a real short, brief one, but in 1954, on this exact day, Eisenhower had actually, talked to everyone and implored everyone to stay away from the Vietnam War. Well, we saw where that got us, didn't we? Brothers and sisters out there. I'm not old enough, but I know a bunch of you out there that know what went on. Anyway, we have a special guest today, a guest that's very, very heartfelt. I spoke to her at the beginning of the week. I know that we mentioned her husband's death a couple of weeks ago on the air. Barry Coates, from South Carolina. He was the veteran who was actually the whistleblower against the Dorn VA in South Carolina, as well as, many other VAs. It's not just there, as I'm sure many of you know. This problem goes far and wide. People waiting for colonoscopies. If you're not 50 years old, you're not going to get a colonoscopy. Poor guy was 46, I think, when he died. He could have possibly still been here today had they have taken care of him. But, of course, this is what this show is all about, VA corruption. And, of course, if the VA does do something good, I'll be the first one to come out and talk about it. But so far, you guys have scored triple Fs. Sorry, but that's how it is. Anything that the government gets their hands on is always something ready to be broken. We're veterans. Veterans should be taken care of first and foremost. But yet we think of others to take care of first, and we're the ones that get put on the back burner. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier who was telling me about some soldier-on housing in Blackstone, Mass. And I guess people have been complaining about it because it's like, well, those veterans are going to be coming from different places. And that kind of really ticks me off to hear that. Different states, different places and everything else. We're vets. We're here serving everybody, not just a town, not just a state. But anyway, other than that, like I was getting back to our guest, Donna Coates. She's very, very passionate about this, and really, really feel bad for her loss, and of course what the VA is doing to her as well, not just him, but to her. We have yearly thousands of veterans that aren't getting the care that they should be getting. I can say that for myself included. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the staff, they mean well at the VAs, especially the one here in Providence, Rhode Island. In fact, I remember once talking to one of the staff members, and they were telling me they can't keep enough people in. People go away. They're being overworked. They're being overbooked. Doctors are getting too many patients. Well, I mean, there's a solution to this, but yet they don't want to hear about it. I've come up with a few solutions myself. I've actually written Congress about this, as well as the U.S. Senate. I've been hoping that I'd be able to get to Washington within the next couple of weeks, because I had a couple of meetings there for this, in fact, with the VA HQ as well. But unfortunately, because of financial issues and what have you, I don't think I'm going to be able to get there. But we'll see. We'll still keep on pushing and try to do what we can. We do have a thing on GoFundMe. Looking for that, or if anybody's interested in helping out, you can go to poisonveterans.org. We've totally revamped that. We've revamped the whole website. You can look up new things, our accomplishments, what we've done so far, where we've been, everything else. And please hit the donate button. Other than that, we're going to, I'm just a little upset. That's all. Sorry, guys. This stuff really gets me aggravated. We have groups of people on different Facebook groups and what have you. And don't get me wrong, a lot of wonderful people. A lot of people have helped and everything. However, a lot of people aren't helping out, and I'm just hoping that somebody isn't out there to, bad-mouthing. But anyway, we'll find out eventually. We're going to go to break, and we'll be back within a couple of minutes. Stay tuned.
I'm Bill. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I was homeless.
I'm Anna, an Army veteran and recently homeless.
My name is William. I'm a U.S. Army vet, and I was homeless. These veterans, including myself, have homes thanks to local landlords and property owners. Please help us find homes for hundreds of others who have answered the call of duty. If you are a landlord or property owner and have rental vacancies, visit ahomeforeveryvet.net to find out how you can help.
I'm retired United States Army Staff Sergeant Travis Mills. My motto has always been, never give up, never quit. That belief got me through high school, the Army, and my recovery. And it's a motto shared with my fellow veterans. They've finished their military service, but they're not close to quitting. They're back home and ready to get to work. They've got what it takes. You can give them the opportunity. America's veterans. Hire the best. Access their experience with Easter Seals.
Veterans News Radio, brought to you by Mid-State Gun Company, 1200 Tioga Avenue in Cranston. They are a full-service firearms retailer for the state of Rhode Island. Mid-State offers a full line of firearms and accessories, from the industry classics to its latest innovations. They stock handguns, rifles, shotguns, and black powder. Their available accessories span from targets to cleaning supplies, cases to storage, ammo, mags, loaders, and more. Mid-State also buys, consigns, and trades firearms. And they also offer Rhode Island Blue Card Test. Mid-State Gun Company proudly presents to you Rhode Island's first public indoor firing range, including 12 25-yard rifle and pistol lanes. Come shoot in our safe and comfortable atmosphere. Mid-State also offers a variety of classes and instruction. So whether you're new to the sport or a serious competitor, stop by Mid-State Guns, 1200 Tioga Avenue in Cranston, Rhode Island, or call 401-615-0669. Open Monday through Saturday 9 to 9 and Sunday 10 to 5. Mid-State Gun Company, proud sponsor of Veterans News Radio.
Welcome back to Veterans News Radio. This is High Speed Sal. We have our guest on hold, Donna Coates. I'm actually looking forward to speaking with her. Hey, Donna, you're on the air.
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
We're doing the best we can.
Yes, I know. I mentioned a little bit about you and Barry, Lynn, as you call him. We'll let everyone out there know that that was his name for you.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of feedback online with a lot of people, that are heartbroken.
Yeah.
I just want you to know, Donna, you're not alone in this.
Yeah. And I appreciate that very much, you know what I mean? Because it means a lot when you know that you have someone that's going to support you and love you and care for you through all this.
Mm-hmm. So, tell us a little bit about what's been going on. I know you've had quite a few trials here.
Yeah, it's been about a little over a 4-year battle that he had to endure once he got home. We actually started around the end of 2010 in November. He had started having a lot of stomach cramps and things like that, and I took him to our local ER because he was just really sick. And at the bottom of the page, she said, may need colonostomy or needs colonostomy. So, of course, he waited until January of that 2011 to see his regular doctor out at the Rock Hill Clinic in South Carolina, which, by the way, is the independent contractor.
Of the VA.
Yeah, from the VA. She's an independent contractor in the VA system. And so he went to see her, and she was like, oh, it's just hemorrhoids. Oh, she just kept treating him for hemorrhoids all the way down until probably, I want to say, he actually had moved from the Rock Hill Clinic, and it takes a while to get transferred from Rock Hill to Florence Clinic, which is closer for us here in South Carolina. So when he got treated at the Florence Clinic, probably around, I want to say the beginning of the summer, he went in to see Dr. Newman, and Dr. Newman said, well, I can't believe that they haven't gave you any stool softeners in this entire time. And he said no, and so he set him up with a GI surgeon consult to see over at Dorn Medical Center in Columbia. Well, she said, well, you haven't been on the stool softeners very long. She said, let's give it a couple of months. And then he's like, look, lady, if you were hurting as bad as I am, you would do something about it today. So he just kind of endured it a little bit longer. And then when she went back to see him and he went back to see her, she said, what are you doing here? He said, I'm here for the same reason I was here for 2 months ago. And I want to say somewhere around the end of November of 2011. So it was over a year from the first recorded session of you need a colonostomy down to November of 2011 when he finally got a consult to have a colonostomy. Well, once he received that consult, it was actually pushed out until April of 2012. Well,
so you're telling me how long was in between?
So it actually was a year before he was able to get a colonostomy. And then he actually had gotten a consult for a colonostomy in April of 2012. So my husband was like, I can't endure this any longer. I just cannot do it. So he called up to the GI department at Dorn, and he said, well, can you call me if somebody drops out of schedule? And she said, no, sir, we have to, you have to call us every day to see if anybody drops out of schedule.
Well, wow.
Yeah. And so he did. And he finally got what I call blessed or fortunate enough to get an appointment to see a GI to have a colonostomy done, which was done, I want to say December the 9th of 2011.
All right, so about 5 months before.
Yeah, before his original one.
Right.
And the only reason why he got that appointment then is because he done it at Fort Jackson at the military hospital. They didn't even do it at Dorn. They did it at Fort Jackson. And time the surgeon went in to do it, they immediately came out. Of course, my son was with him because here I am working because my husband's not able to work. He was
yes,
not.
I know you went through a lot.
Right. Yeah, we did. And so my son called me and he said, Mama, he said, I don't know what he's a whole total of 17 years old at the time. And, Mama, I don't know what they're talking about. And he said, and I don't understand these words. And I just immediately stopped doing what I was doing and went straight over to Dorn, and where they had sent him around for a CT scan. And once they did that CT scan, they came back out and said he has mets on his liver and his lungs. So he went from having nothing on his liver and lungs in 2010 to having mets in his liver and lungs on 2011.
Now, this for everybody out there, a colonoscopy is usually done to prevent these things from happening. Usually they go in, they find polyps or what have you, they get them out, they figure out if they were precancerous or not, but at least it stops them in their tracks. So, of course, obviously, they made him wait.
Yeah, they made him wait for well over a year, and not, and when we went up on the oncology floor, the first oncologist that we ever got, he said if they would have just done a proper rectal exam, they would have been able to find the palpitation of that tumor, because it was clearly palpitating. That they didn't even do, even in the office, if they would have done a proper rectal exam, if they would have done an endoscopy right there in the middle of the office, they could have done that. Right. They just failed to serve him whatsoever at all. At all.
Okay, so you guys went through all this, then came where Barry or Lynn got very, very upset, and he started to fight back.
Well, what happened was we did realize that one of our local news stations had posted a grant that Dorn had received during this time that was supposed to be allocated to this. And it was not allocated to the GI department. It was what they say is misappropriate of funding. And so I don't know where it went, but it did not go to the GI department.
No, it probably went to bonuses or what have you. We know how they work.
Right. We were very upset. I was upset. So I sat down and I just said, I want to let y'all know that my husband was caught up in the middle of all this stuff. And, and now as a result, he has stage 4 colorectal cancer. And so our little news station from little tiny Columbia, South Carolina came out and done a report on it. And when they did, the next day, CNN happened to pick it up. And CNN contacted my husband and asked if he would be willing to go to Washington to testify before the Congressional Committee of House Affairs for Veterans Affairs. And he said, I sure would. And so in April of 2014, he actually put his treatment off because he was due to start chemotherapy treatment again. And he actually pushed it back so that he could go to Washington and testify before the committee that week. And so he stood in the court in there and told them his entire story. And he even added to them that they had handed him a death sentence. And if you'd like to go and read it, I'd be glad for anybody to read it and share his story as much as can, just to keep his legacy alive and everything that he's fought for.
Well, I'm sure he's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Like I said, a lot of people, I've been getting a lot of comments about this. I mean, this is outrageous.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did Congress deal with him? How did anyone deal with him? And even VA in Washington, D.C., what did they...
Well, Jeff Miller's office was very kind to us. Since Barry Lynn has passed, he has issued a statement for us. Our Congressman, Tom Rice from South Carolina, has been very kind to this family. He actually stood in the Congress the other day and issued a statement. And yesterday I received the frame statement for his statement from the Congressional Committee. Tom Rice has been one of the greatest men, for us and in our plight. But and Jeff Miller's office was very kind to us when we were there. I have my other opinions about some other ones there, but they were smiles for the cameras.
Yes.
And, and I don't know if I can say which senator or not was smiles for the cameras, but very smiling for the. Well,
we're here for
Lindsey
justice
Graham?
And truth.
Okay. Well, here you go, Lindsey Graham, which is from our state.
Not surprised.
He actually acted as if he was annoyed at the fact that we were there, that we were bothersome to him, and that he did not want to take his time to even sit down to have a conversation with Lynn, even though he did. But when he did, he was not interested in all of what he had to say, but only interested in the fact that he wanted to talk. But when it came time to take those pictures, now he was all smiles for them.
Of course he was.
He was really smiling for those pictures.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, it's an election year. Everybody should know that.
Yes, it is.
That's all I can say about that one.
Right, and and one of the greatest things is, I was talking to you the other day about I want to see Barry Lynn's legacy continue. I want to see everything that he's fought for, the wait times that the VA is still having to endure, and I know that Durham Medical VA Center is not a little bit better today than it was 4 years ago, even though Congress has passed, after Barry Lynn's visit, they passed a $6 billion, with a B, billion dollar grant to the VA system is what they gave.
Well, gee, I wonder if any of that went to their bonuses, because I know they all just got bonuses at the new year.
Well, I do know this. I know that my uncle sat for 10 hours waiting on a room at 85 years old last week.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not a bit better, and I know that not one person has ever been held accountable for their actions of what happened to my husband, not been demoted.
Well, you see, this is the issue, Donna. There's no accountability with them.
Exactly. And until there is some accountability, nothing ever is going to change.
We tried to do something here in our own state in Rhode Island. I actually put the bug in people's eyes to get the Rhode Island Health, the Department of Health of Rhode Island involved with the VA. Do you know how many lawyers the VA sent in
I can only imagine.
To stop this? I mean, who do they think they are? I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Well, let me tell you what my biggest thing is right now. The lady, the independent contractor, hired through the VA system, is still working every day at the VA that misdiagnosed my husband time and time and time and time again. She is still there enjoying the tax money that you and I both pay every year. And not only that, she still gets to go home to her family every day.
Of course she does.
She gets to go home to her loved ones every day. Her life has not changed, not one bit. But mine will never be the same. Never be the same.
Yeah.
And until somebody is held accountable for what they have done to my husband, and somebody has to answer that roll call, there's no justification going to come. You can throw money at the VA from now until Jesus comes, and it is not going to fix the problem. It is not even beginning to fix the problem. If it did, then the $6 billion that they gave after he left from Washington would have already fixed it.
Of course.
Money is not the issue. It has never been the issue. The issue is that it goes into all of the directors' pockets. It goes into all of their pockets, and then nothing is done in the VA system for our veterans. And that left the veteran's spouse after the veteran passes away. That's another huge thing for me right now, is because they don't know what we have to endure, because they put their check in the checking account. They take it back out of the checking account. They tell you that it might take up to 4 months, and who knows, it might take longer than that. After you have given up your entire life, I have given up my entire life. I gave up my career in my entire life to take care of my husband for 4 years. 4 long years.
One little thing, I did look into this, and I can tell you this with quite certainty. When you filed for your IC, did you put in under hardship?
Well, actually, I called up to Washington this morning. I have become very, I went from, my husband just passed away the 23rd of January this year. And I've gone from being very grieving to crying all the time to this morning very angry. Just angry.
Yes.
And I called up to Washington this morning, and I talked to Kurt Cashour, which is Jeff Miller's guy that takes, I guess, I don't know what Daddy calls him. His guy today, and I told him, I said, look, and then a lady called me back a while ago. She said, we can help you with the hardship thing, but I'll have to send you a paper, and I can email it to you, and you fill it out, honey, and send it back to us.
Yeah.
I said, I'm very familiar with your paperwork. My husband had to do the same thing.
That cuts time right down.
Yeah. Yeah, it does, but here's the problem. No veteran's wife should have to endure that.
No, they shouldn't.
No veteran's wife should have to endure that.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and especially when you give up your career. I gave up my career, and now I'm having to start back from nothing. From nothing. A lot of people don't know what I do for a living. I'm a hairstylist, and let's just be honest about the situation.
Oh, we know how that is. You have to have customers, clients.
You do, and once you give up that to stay home with your husband, you've got to rebuild your entire clientele. You have to.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen overnight.
It does not. It took me 2 years to build it to begin with. And then when your husband's gone, and another thing that just gets my goat is that they expect a veteran's wife to live off less than 1/3. Less than 1/3. I don't know if anybody knows what DIC benefits are. Let me just tell you what they are. They're $1,254 a month if and when that they decide that you are eligible to receive them. Now, my husband made a lot more money than $1,254 a month. When people get divorced, they get half of whatever income a man has, or half of their personal property. I took care of. I went with every treatment, every radiation. I've missed 3 appointments in 4 years. And you mean to tell me that you expect me to live off 1/3 less than what he made? That's absolutely absurd. It's absurd for any veteran, and it's absurd for any widow of any veteran.
See, a lot of people don't understand this. Well, I'm sure a lot of people listening here at Veterans News Radio do. A military wife, every single military wife should be given the Congressional Medal of Honor for what you guys go through. Whether if you're still in the military or out of the military, with the veterans getting sick and what have you, this is what you guys go through.
Yeah, God help, and I pray, and I pray that God never let anybody have to endure what my family has endured. But most people in this world do not have. A lot of people have sympathy, but people don't have empathy unless they have lived in the place that I've lived. When you watch when you stand back and you have your husband's hand in your head in your hand, and you watch the life leave his body, then you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from. In the hardships, and the trips, and everything that you could do just to sustain his life one more day on this earth. And it is absolutely awful, because the very organization that caused his death, that's what I say, caused his death. Because, I had the surgeon tell me, he said, if we would have caught this earlier, he said, once a horse is out of the gate and it's running, it's running. If cancer can be found and it's confined to one area, that's one thing. But when you let it go for well over a year, and it goes to to your liver and your lungs, then it's harder to keep it from moving. The horse is out the gate and it's running.
Right.
And it's running rampaged over your body. And until you see the life drain out of the one person that you love with your entire soul, and you will walk away from that never being the same again as long as you live.
So obviously, the people in Dorn, at the Dorn VA, they must have seen, they had to have seen him afterwards. Did you get anything from them at all? Like, I'm sorry, or...
His GI doctor, the one that, I honestly think that she thought that he was there just for pain medication, because he asked her if she could write him something for pain, and down when he first initially saw her. And her response to that was, we don't write prescription medicines down here in the surgical department. And that was her response. And then when she actually came back in after they had taken the biopsy from his liver, and she had to tell him that there was cancer there, her first initial response to him was, I'm so sorry. And his response to her was, I told you that I was hurting. I told you I was in pain. You need to learn to listen to your patients. And that's exactly what she said. And in his medical notes, where they go in and do their medical logs or whatever else, she even mentioned, veteran's wife and veteran and his wife and spouse were very disappointed at the fact that the colonoscopy wasn't done earlier, you think? And she said that she didn't think that it would have changed the outcome. Well, anybody who has any common sense whatsoever, and common sense is one of those flowers that don't grow in everybody's garden, but anybody who has common sense knows that cancer left untreated for any period of time spreads.
Of course.
For a week, 2 weeks can make a difference.
Yeah, she just tried to shrug to say, well, there would have been nothing we could have done for him anyway, which is...
Right, and she tried to cover her own self. She's trying to cover her own self. And the thing about it is that there's no covering up that. When you let it go for over a year, there's no covering that.
Is there anything that can be done? I know it's difficult to go after the VA.
Yes.
They're so protected. That's so ridiculous.
It is.
But this person is a contractor.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything that could be done?
We have legal.
Are they board? Is this person board certified? I guess this is the first question I have.
Yes, board certified.
In what state?
I don't know if in South Carolina, and I don't know if people realize or not, but a lot of the people that they are dealing with inside of the VA, you can file two different ways. You can file a federal tort claim against the VA itself, and you can also go after any independent contractor. When my husband did file that lawsuit, it's been in litigation for 2 years now. 2 years. And, civil court is different than federal court. Been in court for 2 years. And still hadn't gotten anywhere. And, we may not see the end of this until 2019, 2020. That's the way it's going to be.
Well, that's the other thing, too. They take so long for this stuff. It's ridiculous.
They do. And, but anybody who is an independent contractor, when he first filed that lawsuit, it was medical mal, and now it's considered wrongful death. Because that's exactly what it is. It's wrongful death.
Well, this person should be gone after, criminally, actually.
Yes.
Criminally.
Yeah, because, this is the truth. If you get into your vehicle and you're driving drunk and you hit somebody and you kill them, they go after you for that. That's manslaughter or whatever else. But you can be a physician at the VA clinic and kill everybody, and it's okay. That's perfectly fine. You're not supposed to have any criminal charges against you. No, that's not fine. It's not fine. And that's what I said, to this day, still working for our federal government. To this day, still employed at the VA Medical Center. After even Congress knows. Even after Congress knows that the misdiagnosis she gave my husband time after time after time after time after time again.
But it's not just him either, because there's many others.
Oh, yeah. There's a plethora of people. I have a really good friend of mine that lives in our state, and her husband right now, she is actually dealing with the same thing. The only difference is his now has spread. He has met to his brain now. And she is in the same situation that I am in. And she sees herself being in the same place that I have been. And it's shameful. It is absolutely shameful and disgraceful. And let me tell you, though, even to the bitter end, to the sovereign end, the VA was this way. My husband was prescribed a medication from MUSD in Charleston. It's a $10,000 prescription. So he was going through the VA to get that prescription. For 2 months, when he first had his bilirubin count done on his liver, it's 1.3, which makes him qualified to take Longsurf, which was the last medication he could get, brand new chemotherapy medicine. By the time that they had negotiated the contract with the pharmaceutical company for Longsurf, my husband's liver count went to 3.2, which made him not qualified any longer to take that medication. The very day I put my hands on that medication, he was told by his doctor at MUSC that he was no longer a candidate to take any chemotherapy, that they were so sorry. So even to the very bitter end, negotiating a contract.
Well, this is going to change. This has to stop. And again, I'm going to tell everybody, this is an election year. Do your homework really well to see who you're going to get in, who you're going to vote for. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, because I don't even know who I'm going to vote for yet. But, however, do your homework. This is unconscionable. I almost feel like taking a drive down to Washington right now just to go cause all sorts of holy heck, this is just wrong. Now, I do not want to sensationalize myself either, but I am also one of those patients from the VA that's been messed around with. I got fortunate I'm able to get outside insurance, and that's what I did. And I am finally getting treated for a condition that I've been suffering with for years, and my doctor on the outside said, you're very lucky you didn't have a stroke or a heart attack up until now, because that's what would have happened. And I showed him all the paperwork from the VA, all my lab results and everything else, and he just looked at him and just shook his head in disarray, saying that I should have been getting treated for this much, much before. So, this is happening everywhere. Don't think it's just down in South Carolina. It's up here as well in Providence. It's in Boston. It's out in California, Texas. Wherever you go, and I've had veterans talk to me from different places, they're going through the same problems over and over and over again, and yet nothing's getting done. How can we do this? How can we allow it? I mean, Donna, for you, what would you do yourself? Let's just say, okay, you have a chance today to go to Washington and talk to Congress and the Senate and everything else. What would you do?
Ask for accountability. I don't want you to throw money at it. Money's not going to fix it.
No, of course not.
I want somebody to be held accountable for what happened to my husband. I want somebody to, I want some justification for his life. I want his life to matter. And I want this whole system just rehauled. And I want to stand in front of Congress. And I told Kurt Cashauer this morning, I want to stand in front of Congress, and I want to let them see what the pain and heartache that I have brought to my family, and that my life will never be the same. That they get up every morning and they go back to their same jobs, and until they understand how personal that it can be, until it becomes personal to them, then it's never going to change. Somebody has to take this on as a personal issue, has to stand up and be a voice. Be a voice. And it's going to take all of us standing together to say, we're not going to take this anymore. And you know, somebody told me today, they said, Donna, there may be repercussions for the fact that you're going to stand up. I said, well, you know, as of right now, my husband is gone. He's not here anymore. And I said, as of right now, the VA doesn't give me a dime.
And what can they do to you? What can they actually do to you?
Well, I don't know. You know, prolong my VIC benefits.
They can't do that.
They can do.
They can't do that. That's illegal. I mean,
but this is the way I feel about it. I'm going to scream.
Well, you have to.
And I'm going to do everything I can do.
The problem that we're having in this country today are people like that being afraid of repercussions.
Right.
Let me tell you, I was at a base that people can look it up at poisonedveterans.org. I know you've been on, Donna, and I'm sure you've seen everything we've been doing. And we're out there fighting for not just toxic service, but for every veteran, because every single veteran's life counts, and it matters. Right. And so do their wives and husbands and their children and everyone that's left behind. They all count. We can't let this happen. We can't let these people get away with this. But you know that if you go onto one of the pages, I believe Who We Are or maybe Accomplishments, there's actually an area there where my brake lines were cut when I was at Fort McClellan in Alabama. And they were cut just right, and they also got sprayed with acid that was, by the time we got to Salisbury, South Carolina, you must know that place.
Yep.
There's a guy there right off the highway. I forgot what the highway name is. The guy's name's Richie. I wish I had his last name. Wonderful mechanic. This guy helped us in every single way possible. I mean, he even lent me a car for a week to go back home with, and then I could go back down and pick up my van. But all this was done at the McClellan Motel, the McClellan Inn in Anniston, Alabama. They were not happy that this Yankee went down there to step on feet and to investigate. And I'm not done yet, because I'm going to go back again, because we're all affected.
Well, I'm sure they're probably not going to be real pleased with this little Southern girl with her Southern drawl.
Well, don't worry.
Southern drawl is going to stand as long as she can.
You
stand.
have, Donna, you have a lot of people behind you.
Yeah,
I will guarantee you that everyone right now listening on air, as well as on the archives, will be behind you. If they try anything with our girl with her Southern drawl, then you know there will be questions asked.
Yeah.
And there will. And they'll be coming from here as well. Because I plan on doing a follow-up on this. We're not just going to cover this for this one show and that's it. This is something that can't be put to bed.
No, because, you know, the last time when Beerlin started it, you know, once they got Eric Shinshevsky's job, because that's the one job they were after, once they got his position, then all the press went away.
Mm-hmm.
All the news feed went away. And then it was just, when he passed away, then it all came back.
Right.
And it came back in a flood. But this is my thing. Right now, South Carolina is fixing to go into the primary. And I want to, you and I have talked about this, I want the Republican candidates that are coming up, I want to ask them, how are they going to fix the veteran? How are they going to fix it? I don't want to hear throw money at it, because that's not going to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know who's going to be held accountable. And I want to know what they're going to do for the widows and the widowers of the veterans. Those are the three things that I want to get accomplished. And they're going to hear my little southern drawl all the way in Washington, because I'm going to fight, and I'm going to scream, and I'm going to shout, and I'm going to use my voice, because my husband is no longer able to use his. And so I'm going to step in his shoes, and I'm going to fight for him, and I'm going to fight for my family, and I'm going to fight for every veteran and every widow and widower of a veteran. Those are issues that are not going to go away, and I'm not going to let them go away. And as long as I can get news feed and coverage and CNN and radio shows and whatever I can get, I'm going to talk to them every day, until they get tired of hearing my voice.
Right. Right.
I have 5 grandchildren that's not going to be old enough to know and not be able to enjoy their pawpaw. That's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fair to my grandchildren.
No, of course
not. That's not fair to, it's not fair to my children that even though most of them are grown, they're going to have to grow up without a daddy. That's not, daddy's not going to be there for a lot of things, and it's definitely not fair to me to have to, at 44 years old, be a widow. At 44.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not fair.
46.
It's not fair.
No, it's not. And it's the responsibility of the independent contractor through the VA, and it's also the responsibility of the VA, the Veterans Administration. That's whose responsibility it is. So it is no different than to me, than my husband getting hurt, and then them, it's their responsibility. They're the ones, they have said, we are the ones who have caused this. And so now you're just going to kick his wife, his children, and his grandchildren to the curb and say, okay, well, we'll just let you do without for about a good 4 or 5 months, and you just come back and see us then.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they've done. So not only they've kicked my husband, they've kicked now his family, because he thought when he left this world that we would be taken care of, and that's not how it's ended. And that's not how it's gone. But, and I'm not the only one. I have had people call me all day today about their family is going through the same thing that my family's going through. And I'm not the only one. But it's going to take all of us to stand up.
That's right. We need strength in numbers. We need strength in numbers. We need to let our politicians know that we mean business.
Yes, every day. Every day.
Too many people have been in there for too long. I, for one, kind of believe in term limits. But anyway, this is how corporations take over. You were talking about the pharmaceutical companies, for instance, and the negotiations for that medication. That medication could have probably helped them.
Oh, I'm quite sure it could. I mean, by the time that by the time I actually got, that's what I say, to the very sovereign end of his life. The day I put my hands on that medication, the day was the very day, I will never forget it. It was December the 2nd of 2015. I put my hands on the medication. It came in the mail.
Yeah.
Finally got the medication, and then his doctor says, you are no longer a candidate to take the medication because your liver cannot any longer process it.
Right.
2 months before that, his doctor had wrote the prescription. 2 months before that. And then the lady that is our friend up in Spartanburg, she told me, I said, well, if he ever gets to the point where he takes Lone Surf, please let me know. Anybody out there who needs it, please let me know. I have a $10,000 prescription sitting on my bar that's unusable to anybody. So anybody who's taking Lone Surf or might need it, please contact me. I'd be glad to give it to you. Just give it to you.
Now, have you set up a website on this yet or anything? Or?
I have not.
I know it's too soon. I mean, we'll be glad to help you when you're ready to do that. If anyone wants to get in touch with Donna, you can do it through info@poisonveterans.org. You go through me, and I can get to Donna. It's my honor and my pleasure to do it. And actually, if there's anyone out there with ideas, it would be even better. Really would. We can use your help.
Yeah. I would like to know if that's another question. I would love to know if there is a website or support basis just for the widows or widowers of veterans. You know, I know that there's a lot of veteran sites out there, but I have not seen one as of yet just that, you know, that help, that are there for the widows, for the people. And not only just emotional support, but I'm talking about financial support. I want to know if there's any organizations out there. Is there any corporations out there that's willing to help support these veterans' wives? I want to know if that's out there somewhere. And if there is somewhere, somebody please let me know. And if there's not, we need to create one.
Wow.
We definitely need to create one.
There is a foundation. While you're talking, we're here typing away, looking up different things.
Okay.
It's called Widows of Deceased Veterans Foundation. They've been around since 2004. Their web address is widowsofdeceasedveterans.com. I mean, this might be something you might want to go to.
Yeah.
It was started by the wife of Sergeant Major Richard D. Walden. He was U.S. Army retired. Provided assistance to a deceased veteran's wife. She desperately needed a financial assistance. Could not provide from many places she had tried. You know, these might be people you might want to get in touch with, Donna. I mean, I see that they've been here for a while. They're very. It's great to be able to find something like this.
Yeah, it is. That is absolutely wonderful. But, you know, like I said, you know, you and I were talking the other day, and I said the same thing that they expected from my soldier when he left was integrity. Integrity. They wanted him to be courageous and brave.
Right.
And they wanted him to be honorable. And you know what? That is no less than I expect of the VA system. That's no less than I expect of every doctor that they hire, whether it's independent or whether they work in the VA itself. Every surgeon, every oncologist, everything. Why are they not held to the same things that we expect from our soldiers? Why are they not held to that? Everybody expects our soldiers to be honorable. Well, we expect your system to be honorable.
Right. Right. I know that they have grief counseling as well. I'm getting all sorts of messages here, too, so I'm sorry if I got distracted real quick. But we have a lot of people listening. This message is actually coming from a dear friend from Texas. Grief counseling for widows and children through the VA as well. You have to contact any of your vet centers.
Yeah.
They'll be able to help you, too. But this Widows of Deceased Veterans.com seems pretty,
pretty legit.
Yeah, they do. They do. I've actually got a couple of things here. Their vision is transforming those trying to survive into those wanting to serve. And then their mission to serve where possible, the financial, emotional health, and wellness of social aspects of widowers of deceased veterans. And then they've got a couple of things here that people wrote, and it's saying, since I've been with the Widows for Deceased Veterans Foundation, I feel that whatever I may need, if the organization cannot assist me, they will try to find the assistance for me. So you might want to, write that one down and get in touch with them. I did write it down. And I think I'm probably going to actually try to. I'm going to actually probably try to, I will be putting this site on my Veterans News Radio page as well. Yeah. But I think I'm going to try to get in touch with them and get them to, get them on as well.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see this. That was a very good point you brought up.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said earlier, we're not just going to leave it here. We're going to continue on with this. I expect you to, to stay in touch with me.
I will.
And I will stay in touch with you as well. And anything you need, don't be afraid to get in touch. And we can talk sometime during the week or the week after. maybe we'll give it another week or something like that. We'll see maybe about putting together a website for him or something. I know that I will put something on my Veterans News Radio page at veteransnewsradio.com. And we've got to be a voice.
Yeah, we do.
And
we do. We have to.
I think I'm pretty much of a northeastern Boston accent, loudmouth. Right, Pam? Anyway, and it's pronounced car, but car. It's pronounced car. But anyway, this loudmouth isn't going to shut up, and it's going to take a very long time to get him to shut up because I'm fired up for all sorts of different reasons. But anyway, we're going to do this. We're going to keep in touch. This show's about up now.
Okay.
So, you have my number. You can contact me. People, if anybody wants to get in touch with Donna right now as well, you can email me at info@poisonedveterans.org, and I'll make sure to get whatever to Donna. I mean, any help or what have you would be great and would be greatly appreciated. And while you're there, you can check out poisonedveterans.org as well. Donna, it was wonderful having you on. I'm sorry you had to be on. I'm not going to, I wish you could have been on for other reasons.
Yeah, me too.
But
I would have taken a day, any day of him working every day and coming home compared to the life that we've had to live for the last 4 years.
Right. Okay. Donna, I'll be speaking to you soon. And like I told you, you have my number. You can call me anytime.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, this is High Speed Sal. Quite saddened, but we're going to wrap it up for this week. We'll be back next week, and I guess we're signing off. Have a good night, people.